Glad you could tune in. I want to apologize in advance for any background noise. I'm trying to record a video. I missed the last 2 weeks of videos, and I need to get it in so you guys get the content that you like to see from me. Um, I know all of my content is currently free, so I know I don't have to do this, but I want to keep you guys informed. So anyway, I'm gonna take a look at the market cap for now. I'm gonna cover kind of a rough idea of what's happened now that the weekly close has taken place. That's something I plan to do going forward is review the weekly close, where to go from there. Obviously, then after that we'll cover Bitcoin, we'll cover Ethereum, and then we'll go ahead and I've got these right over here for a reason. I'm gonna cover the ETHBTC pair, Solana, AVAX, which will be interesting because we just had the recent FUD news, and I'll tell you my thoughts and how that might affect the chart. Because you guys know how I feel. I most of the time, unless it's a black swan event, which this could be, I tend to ignore a lot of news when it comes to technical chart analysis. So I'll tell you my stuff, my views on that, how that'll affect the charts, and I'll do BNB, and then we'll probably do a couple. We might just do some of the bigger ones here, like comp, which is irritating to me because I was looking at a comp long and I decided not to do it. You got balance and flow. There's a theme here that the DeFi stuff is popping, so that's a good sign. But anyway, we'll go back to that. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Don't know how long this video will be. I'm just gonna try to maybe cover 2 to 3, maybe 5 minutes at the most for some of these, and just kind of knock them out. So, all right, we got the total market cap here. We closed right above. Let's kind of zoom this in. Well, let's do some of the major stuff here first. So, obviously, we got these rounded tops here. Let's do this. Let's do the rectangle. You guys know I like my order blocks, so the out of this whole section, the first close and the second low, so that goes down here. And so this is, I mean, if you're not familiar with it, I don't know if I made this up myself or if somebody else uses it. I have not copied them, but I do order blocks based off of the actual section of supply and demand, which is this, but I also do order blocks based off of the wicks, which is this. And more often than not, both of these tell you different things, and you can piece them together like a puzzle piece. So this red section is called the swing low order block, and I use it as the first close. So I take the entire order block here, take the first close of the section, so this is right here, and then the second wick, the second low, like the second wick that's lower than the first. So these will not count because then it would be too high. This one is what you want. So then this marks the top of the block. This marks the bottom. What that does, it creates a sense of supply. Not like perceived. It gives a sense of perceived supply. So this right here, this order block, or any jumbling of data like this, or like this, or like this, that's actual supply and demand realized on the 1 week time frame, right? This is a perceived supply and demand on the 1 week time frame, but probably a realized one on the 4 hour. But we're not looking at the 4 hour. So this is a way to kind of get that 4 hour data while still looking at the weekly and still being okay with it. And more often than not, it retests on this block or doesn't go through it, or sometimes, if you see me do a fib block, that's what I do here. Sometimes it only goes past this halfway point. So, most of the time, if it's not complicated, I just use a regular block. So as you can see, we went through it and then we retested. So obviously we know now, I mean, that was back in May, bearish sign, got the bearish retest, got a pretty clear follow through. So far, most of this is textbook. and that's why I don't criticize, but I do try to I try to get people to focus on higher time frames, because this is much easier to keep track on. And you guys might know I have a trading challenge. If you don't, get connected in my Telegram. I usually post about it once a week, twice a week. I'm getting ready to invite more people. It's completely free. And I'm going to try to my goal is to try to get $5,000 traded up to $100,000. But the main thing is I'm going to do it at my own pace, because I'm not charging anybody right now. So I'll do it at my own pace, but I'm going to try to focus on lower time frames. And that is typically harder for me to do. I'm very, very inept at doing like 12-hour time frames and higher. That's kind of my MO, especially the 2-day, 4-day. Like, I know it's part of it. It's easier for the average person to do higher time frame, and that's why I tell people to do that. It's really good on Arun as well. And part of that was when I first started crypto, I was still at a full-time job. I was still doing everything else. I also got a son, so that has special needs. So I've got all these things going on, right? It was more natural for me to focus on high time frame. I got better at it, and so now my goal is for the trading challenge is, one, get that 20x, but two, start doing more lower time frames, because that's generally what people like to see, and that's how a lot of people trade. But I do want to mention, like, that's probably not as profitable as you think for the average person. If you're finding yourself unprofitable on lower time frames, I would honestly just start trading the 1-day or even the 2-day. It's and even 3. Like, it's that right there is that golden time frame where it's still small enough where you can pay attention to it every day, but still long enough you ain't got to worry about it. And if you're unproductive on these lower time frames, you're wasting your time in front of the screen, you're wasting your money, and it's a lot trickier, and you're more susceptible to confirmation bias or FUD or news, because you're trying to get something to move in your mind. And most of the time it doesn't work like that, honestly. And for me, that's why I filter out the news. Most of the time it is a distraction. Most of the time the news is either priced in, like I feel like this merge might be, or it's a result of something that already happened. So, like, if you see FUD news coming out from, just a typical crypto news site or whatever, or even Forbes, something like that, it's because they've already made a statement based off something that happened previously that day or the day before. So, and I've seen recent articles for Dogecoin saying, like, oh, it went up, so much percent in so many days, it's going to be on fire. Like, they're giving some kind of excuse for it, and most of the time it's already a hindsight article, basically. So I would just ignore that. But I kind of went on a rant. But to get back on here, it's a lot of the stuff is textbook, especially on higher time frames, and you just got to be mindful. But we got this bearish retest here. We got the low on here, which I'll explain. This is a bigger deal than you might expect, and I'll explain that on BTC in a second. But we retested. Here, let me zoom that in. Kind of hate zooming in on these few candles, but we basically, you might be able to make the argument. That we broke it. I would probably say that that's not good enough. I usually like to see a clean break. That's more of a subjective break, so I think that's still a valid support. Excuse me. And then so far this is only off of 1 day, so that's a pretty good reaction for 1 day, and we'll see how it goes from there. But right now, I don't necessarily see a reason to be majorly bearish. I'm in like a defensive zone as far as like my crypto playbook. Like, the big down move has already happened. So, like, if you look at this like a Wall Street cheat sheet kind of thing, if you don't know what that is, I can link it, or you could probably just Google it, because it's usually just like a wave. But this was probably our capitulation. And usually, most of the time, capitulation is not necessarily the low, but it's usually a sign of the biggest move. So what we could expect to see is maybe something like this. And that could even, and it could even last up till March even. I'm not saying it will or won't, but this is designed to frustrate you and to think that this is going to go super low or whatever. But the biggest, we had our biggest low, our biggest drop. Let's just go from the close, 70%, and usually the market will only go down, 80 or so. So, and even if, this is all speculative, so don't pay too much attention to that. But with BTC, I can show you what I mean by that. Right here, we got a good impulse, but this is a breaker, so I'm expecting this to come back down at some point. So when you got this big impulse that goes through this is the order block. There's a little mini order block too, actually. So it kind of went through two, busted right through. Almost always, it's like a 99% chance that it'll come down back here. Probably a 90% chance it comes back to the origin of the impulse. So right here. So which right now is only a 2% move. That becomes more dangerous as it goes up. I'd like to see that retest. As much as I want to be super bullish, and I always want to be bullish, and I'm bullish long term. I think the most we've got maybe 6 months more of sideways at the most. But I'm looking at probably a Q4 recovery to kind of form a bottom if we haven't already. So let's go to Bitcoin. You guys, so let's do the weekly. As you guys might know, if you don't, this right here, this breaker down, about right about here, like 28,200. This is my signal. This is my personal signal that the bear market is over. If we reach this point, I believe the bear market's done. So we'll see how that happens. We'll leave that there for now. So now I mentioned on the market cap that we retested. We didn't make a lower low on the market cap, but on Bitcoin, we kind of retested it. Let me put it up there more closer. So we got really, really close. So we kind of broke through this order block. So that's a little more concerning on Bitcoin side. To me, that tells me that the market cap as a whole is healthier. And, it's based off of market cap. It's not based on price. But this tells me that altcoins are way more, how should I say this, in a better position than Bitcoin is. So I think there's more interest in altcoins right now than there's Bitcoin. And to me, that's actually a much better sign that I think this market is healthier than you think. Because usually that's not the case. But, I use Coinbase, but I don't typically I don't trade on Coinbase, but it has a good history. I pretty much started like right here. Like I was on like a super high from profits, and then I lost all that. I bought a bunch of stuff here, and I think I literally may have sold like right here somewhere. Anyway, these jumps, these were nice. Like I remember getting lots of profits on altcoins. Didn't take the profits. Some here I didn't take profits. So things can still go pretty high. Based off of this one, we got a 43% increase. I think that's the biggest one of these. About 43%. Shoot, we even went like almost 120% if you include the wicks before we went down. This was the COVID announcement though. So It's not out of the ordinary. So we went up 28%. That might be one of the reasons I got this marked up, because that would give you a good percentage to think that the bear market is over. And even though this went up 120%, it did not make a new low. This still is the low. So anyway, gives you a good idea. So that's it on the weekly. On the A-Rune, we got a bullish. We had a bullish wedge that's kind of confused. It's kind of trying to cross up, but it can't. This price action is pretty much break even despite the bullishness, so it's not really a good sign. Give me just a second. All right, sorry about that. So, I mean, and this is a good green day, but let's not get too excited just yet. And it's a pretty big, especially with Ethereum at 8% almost. That's a big jump for this early in the week. So we could see some shenanigans. We had a big red day on Friday, so that's part of it too. I think I think there was an overreaction with Powell's statements on Friday, which again, in my opinion, like, people are looking too much on the news to focus on what they want to see. So they're ready to hit the red button, ready to sell as soon as they hear anything bad. Like, people are itching to sell. They're itching to hear something bad from him. And to me, it's a sign that as a whole, we are focused too much on that. So anyway, I digress, because I think people pay way too much attention to it. And they don't say anything that the market doesn't say long term anyway. Because we've heard some bad news about Powell, about stuff that he said, but we've been in a down move for a year now. Even look on the 2-week time frame, like right here. We had a very big bearish divergence. I think it's even more prominent on the third 3-week, and I think this is reasonable to look on this high time frame. I don't see why we shouldn't. It's valid. It gave you a clear cut sign. Like, this even gave you a sign, and then we even got another one. Let me see what it gave me a false signal there, but what was it? It did give me one, I think, on the 2-week. Yeah, so it gave me one here. Got the retest, went down. I think I sold around. I definitely sold in the 60s. I think I sold like low 60s. So I think I sold all of my stack around this area, somewhere around here. So I got fortunate. I'm not gonna lie, but I also was looking for those opportunities. Like, a big divergence like this should not be ignored, in my opinion. And even if we, like, here, we got one here at 66. So this was a good sign. What did my tag didn't say it there, but bearish divergence there. I think we had a bull in here. A lot of these major ones here. Let's go to a higher time frame, maybe. So we had a bear div here. Had a bear div here. So you had two tops. You had two clear-cut bear div signs on the 2-day. Which one? It's two. We had a little bit of a div here, and we got a pump because of that. Yeah, we did retrace, so it is what it is. But who knows? Maybe this will build into something better. So I think, here's another one. So made a lower low, and I think that barely counts. I think it's a double bottom. Let me see here. So go for the 33.43. Okay, so yeah, so that was wait, or no, right here. Yeah. So that this was higher, so that does count. But that was really close, so I can understand if you may miss it. This one was the COVID break. You had another one here. So tops. You had another one here. This was literally the market bottom in 2018. And clear cut sign. We had the break up, which was the breaker. We retested. That was your sign to get in. And I know most of you probably weren't here, but it goes on. So see what I'm saying? It's a pretty clear sign. Anyway, let's go back right here on the daily. Got the bottom here. We've tested the supply successfully twice. So to me, that would make this the new higher low, and we still haven't made it there. So I would like to think that we get in this range. We'll see. It's kind of structurally strange to not see that eventually. I'm not saying that we will, but this structure here, where we got kind of this angle up and then we went back down, is very, very unpatternistic. It's very, this isn't really something you see in a good bullish market. So, I mean, yeah, we might go up, but I think we're still going to range. I think your best bet is honestly to take this wick here and that one here and use this as a range. That's what I would do. Yeah, I would probably just do that. And so if you're a long-term trader, I would be bullish above this, bearish below. Actually, I wouldn't even necessarily be bullish. I think the time to be super bullish is pretty much done. If you went down to 17, I would start stacking bids. And it would just depend how far you want to go. My strategy a lot is doing Fibonacci dipping. So I would mark the bottom of this. I have structures in place. Let's just say 10,000. So that means I'd probably buy ones in here, here, and here. And I don't have time to explain that, but just kind of bid as you go down. That would be my thing as someone that's thinking long term. You got this structure right here. That's where I would. Let's see. Does that match up? I think it does. Okay, so that may be why that we. I didn't know that. That may be why we stopped. Let me check here. No, I don't want to try to make it fit, but that's could be one of the reasons that we're stopping currently is because of this overthrow, this impulse. We've already retested it. We're retesting the retest. This is still pretty semi-bullish. I don't think that we're in danger of losing the low, and if we are, I mean the next one right here is like 13.4. Kind of wish TradingView would let me scroll better. So that's where I would look at next. And if you wait, I would probably wait to the end of this wick, and that should free fall. We'll see. But right now, still intact. We got the bullish engulfing currently. Let's see if we don't have a buy signal just yet. So I don't think. So that, and these signals aren't indefinite. They can be wrong. So, but so far, a good reaction to the beginning of the week. But we got a long ways to go. We got this overthrow here to go. I'm not sure I'm even confident to trade anything here just yet. I would probably say at least 21.8. I'm not trading this, and one of the reasons why. Let me switch here to my ARIN band. We're still bearish on the band. We have this little squeeze. It's not a squeeze. I don't have a name for it, but usually that's a sign that we go down. So far we haven't. See right here, same thing. If we get the squeeze and we go under, that means we're pretty bearish for now. And if you go up to, even the third day, we're getting the same thing. So I'm currently, as long as this remains gray, for a lack of better explanation, I'm not fully committed. I'm hopeful on this. I would like to see it, one, turn blue, but also get above the band. So something like this, which is a continuation. So, and a lot of times, and the reason I say that is because it can turn blue, like here, not go above the band, and you go down. And even here, it faked out. And so it can be tricky. One day like this is a really good bullish day, but it still can be tricky. So I think I'm going a little longer than I expect, so I think I'll speed up the rest. Give me just a second. All right. So Ethereum got the merge coming sometime second week, I think late the first week of September, like the 6th, 7th. I don't really know. Don't really care, to be honest, because this reminds me of a lot of big news. Like, people talk about it so much, and the only people that seem to talk about it is like the Twitter people, and not even like the real CT crowd, just like kind of the crowd that wants something to happen. But I believe that it's probably already baked in, because I don't necessarily think the odds of getting 33% within 7-8 days is going to make a difference, honestly. So I think I made this mistake, but I had a feeling to sell at 2,000. I really did, and I think I ended up selling down here, or maybe like 17 or 18. I sold my stack at some point. I'm ready for things to recover. So anyway, sometimes it's just as easy as psychological numbers too. So this structure is so confusing. Let me see if I got a better chart. Coinbase has a good history on charts, actually. So go here. No, we broke there. You could make the case that this was a deviation. We had this back in 2018. We retested that very quickly, so that was very solid. And then we've broken down pretty extensively already. About 76%. I think the last time we broke down like 93. Like 95. Like, we thought this was dead. Like, I clearly remember when Ethereum was $80. And I wish I would have bought it. I was staring at it, so afraid to buy. And I was a brand new trader, pretty much. Less than a year, I think. So ready to buy. I think I didn't have a ton of money at the time. I think I only had maybe like $2 or $3 grand. But I was ready to buy it. And I mean, you always regret those days. You never know, honestly. But that did fuel my passion to learn the charts better, so I can not make that mistake. And I've made some mistakes. I've like you gotta take that chance. Like, if there's historic moves happening, you need to take advantage of that. But anyway, broke down here. We kind of retested a little bit on that area, but nothing really on the weekly that tells us anything. The bullish A-rune wedge is much more prominent. See how this is a very bullish price action on a bullish pattern. We're still up 42%. That's very, very good. Very good. So I'm a little more optimistic about Ethereum, to be honest. Let's go to the 3-day. I tend to like this a lot. So we got a little bit of a, I guess, sort of a mini double bottom here. Again, we're kind of mainly in no man's land. We got a strong bearish consolidation turn into a wedge. So this right here what we see for this week will probably be a good indication of what happens for the next 3-4 weeks even. And then even on the daily, not much is going on here. We're retesting on the RSI, got a strong bearish trend here, and honestly there's just not a lot going on right now. Not as much as you would think. We did break above the 1700 block area, and we deviated below, which is not a good sign. But we got the bullish engulfing, and for my video people, we got a buy signal, by the way. So between us, but this one didn't turn out well. So don't take my advice. It's not advice. But I do have a current long in play, and it's a pretty strong signal. Let me see the volume as well. Volume is okay, but that's what we got going on with that. I think as long as we're kind of in this range, we kind of need to go bullish above here, bearish below there. So let's go really quickly to the BTC pair on the weekly. And I'm still holding it pretty strong here. Not really much to say. I think we might get a small retest down here. But again, we got this little bullish engulfing. But it's also Monday. So might get a small drop there. Honestly, as long as we stay above this line area, this area, we should be good to go. A little bit, and this right here is a little bit of a concern of why we might go down. Something like this may very well be in play, but we'll see. So I think I'll go ahead and cut this video a little short. I'll try to cover some more. Maybe I'll cover some more of these in the middle of the week. But that's my analysis for the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I'll talk to you guys soon.